What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today I am talking about the debut offering from Tormentor Tyrant, Excessive Escalation of Cruelty. This also came out on January 24th, this time on Everlasting Spew, and like I said, this is their debut album, and this is a Finnish death metal band that actually features current and former members of staple bands of the scene like Corpsest and Solithus, so I was kind of expecting to hear stuff that kind of fits in line with those kind of bands, and I was pleasantly surprised to hear that wasn't really quite the case. I would say this album and this band's kind of going for more of like a Florida death metal kind of sound. Like lots of thrashiness, there's lots of triplet chugs, some chugs in general, groove, and just riffs. This album just goes right to the jugular when it comes down to riffs. So after the intro, which is really the only thing I have against this album, it goes into the true opening track, in my opinion, Capital of Pain, right off the rip with the vocals. The vocals on here remind me straight up of both Barney Greenway and Mitch Harris from Napalm Death. Like, it's kind of like the vocalist's kind of going for that kind of sound where he's doing the vocal layering, but like Mitch and Barney together, which adds a little bit of, like, you could argue a bit of like a punky, grindy vibe to the vocals, but musically, anything but that. Like right here on this track, it's got a ton of thrashy Florida death metal on here. Grooves, even kind of like Deicide a little bit. Like there are moments on this album where it kind of made me think of Deicide. And then it goes into Torture Divine, and you get these awesome double time rhythms and riffs that this time around made me think of a band like Blood Red Throne. Nasty and thrashy, there's awesome chugs and groove. Tartarian Iron Grip, this was where the song started to gradually get longer. Like the first two proper tracks, Capital of Pain and Torture Divine, both over the 2-minute mark. Tartarian Iron Grip gets over the 3-minute mark, so there's more going on here. You get a riff that builds into tremolo riffs that kind of definitely make you think of Deicide, but also I would say bands like Malevolent Creation and Sinister as well. And it's just furious. It's just absolutely frantic. It once again gets back into the thrashy side of their sound. Killer grooves, blast beats, and this is one of only a couple of songs where there's a lead section, but in this case it's just big squealy dive bombs to kind of give it a little bit of like a Slayer or Morbid Angel vibe to kind of add a little bit more to the chaos that this album's delivering. Crueler Tomorrow, this one is really where, in my opinion, this album truly goes into high octane. Awesome, like, eerie bass melody to start it off. It builds up nicely, and then you get into these, like, really killer crawling tremolo riffs. And you also get awesome crawling tremolos on Cosmic Wild Hunt, which I'll talk more about in a second. But these crawling tremolos, and it's just an overall intense song. And here comes the triplet chugs. I love triplet chugs like nobody else's business. And, of course, on top of blasts and just chugs in general. And speaking of chug, Pit of Anguish chugs quite nicely. Like this opening chuggy groovy riff, and it leads into like just overall insanity when it comes to like their Florida death metal influences. Like there's a little bit of Monstrosity, a little bit of Cannibal Corpse kind of gets thrown in there. And then even for like newer bands, like I would say Laceration, Skeletal Remains, and even Plague Mace, there's a little bit of like that new blood kind of influence coming in on some of these parts. And then you even get like high-end tremolo riffs that kind of make you think of black metal a little bit. But Cosmic Wild Hunt, you want to talk about triplet chugs galore. This was maybe my favorite song on the album, and it's the second longest at nearly 4.5 minutes. It gets into the awesome triplet chugs. It thrashes very nicely. Again, crawling tremolos. There's even a really cool melodic break towards the end of the song, and then the song ends with like little bass noodles and a guitar melody to kind of end the song on a more I don't know if darker is the proper term, but like a more melodic end to this song. And then Terminal Revelation, back to the short, like straight to the point songs, like over 2 minutes. Just those vocals just coming at you right off the rip, and then it gets into blasts and tremolos. It's double time throughout much of the song, as well as thrash, even some like triplet gallops. And there's some bass noodles and a shred lead, but again, it's kind of more like big dive bombs. And then you get into the closer, Heavy Death Bombardment. Basically everything about this album wrapped up into one, and it's a 5-minute song, the longest track of the album. Crawling riffs, it's just relentless thrash, triplet chugs, tremolos, groove, dive bombs again. There's even like this one moment towards the end where there's like this twangy atonal melody kind of going on in the background to kind of add like an extra layer of grit, almost like as if you're eating a mushroom pizza and there's a little hint of dirt still on the mushrooms, just to add that like little bit of grittiness to it. Whether or not you like that on your mushrooms or what have you, it just kind of had that analogy in my brain. It's like just that little extra layer of grit with this like twangy atonal melody in the background. But yeah, musically and production-wise, I thought this was awesome. Like, the production, it's raw, but the mix is pretty strong. Even though, again, the vocals could have been up just a tiny notch, but everything else was pretty much spot on. And also, the only other complaint is I would have maybe cut the intro track, or at least attach it to Capital of Pain. It would have been like a cool like build-up into the song. And I think it would have made this album even stronger than I'm already saying it is. I am going to go ahead and give this a 4 out of 5. This was awesome. For a debut album, I actually am kind of looking forward to hearing more from these guys. So if you are a fan of, I would say, Blood Red Throne, Deicide, Malevolent Creation, and even newer bands like Plague Mace, definitely check this out. This is just gnarly, nasty death metal. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.